like a really good chest that I could use in torso and arms.
You're trying to say that Batman is all about that base? Oh, it's one that you're going to use for something else.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Mm. Possibly for for making an action figure of the villain of our Kitsune project. So I've been messing around a lot with that, but we still don't have a name for him. So
I
I just preemptively have in my head Rozukin. Uh,
I heard the name
oh,
Kitsune in some other. What did I hear it in? Something. What was I listening to that had Japanese folklore in it?
yeah, what you be listening to
What
there,
was
Jack?
that? Was it a podcast? Oh, it was a podcast about. I want to say a video, like not Elden Ring, but it's like a video game, and it's just a podcast I listen to that does like different pop culture things all the time. And in whatever video game they were talking about, maybe it was Elden Ring because that's the same people who made this game called Sekido, which I
Hmm.
think is based on. So maybe it was that. Anyway, I heard the name Kitsune. I was like, oh, they know. They don't know. They don't know about. Hi, welcome to Avatar Last Podcasters. My name is. That's a cold open. Is what that was. My name's Shawn Shaler. That's
Oh,
my friend Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek. And today we've already talked about in the 10 minutes we've been on the phone, not even in the 3 minutes we've been on the phone, we've already talked about the Caribbean, about retro words making a comeback, about Batman action figure bases, about the video game Sekido. But now we're going to talk about Avatar, The Last Airbender, the Netflix live action one specifically. We are on the second last episode, the penultimate episode. I wrote that word down just so I could use it. But
mm.
before,
It's
but
always a
before
hard word for me to pronounce.
penultimate, I really have to like
Mm.
look at it.
Oh, I'm gonna butcher it.
It's
I'm going to
called
try.
The North. And before we talk about that, though, Chris, how are you? How you been? What have you been up to? I feel like we've both been a little busy lately for whatever reason. I
I
assume you
have been a
you
little
have like
busy.
kids to like entertain in the summer.
Yeah, the thing is, most of the time, that has me getting busy because they've each had like freaking camps and stuff, and gotta take them to it, and yeah,
Have they gotten in the? Have you used the hot tub slash pool yet?
yeah. I used it maybe a week ago, a couple nights ago, maybe Monday night. I used it. Had an epiphany in it about work related. I was like, oh, this epiphany was brought to me by the hot tub, just sitting in
By
there like, oh, I
by
could do this.
Coleman. Thanks, Coleman.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, no, it's been a good little hot tub.
I do
I'm
get.
curious to see where my electric bill goes.
I'm gonna tell you right now that it's gonna go up by in the neighborhood of 50 to $80 a month. It is an unfortunate amount, but well, you know what? Never mind. No, that was my winter prices. It should not be near as bad in the summer. So ignore me for now at least. But I'm glad you like it. I have my best ideas in the shower, so it makes sense that you would have great ideas in an inflatable hot tub. Also, why wouldn't you? Chris, I've been watching. I've made it back almost the entire way through Game of Thrones, which is important to you because I'm using your voodoo to do it. And I just gotta go on record saying that I still really like, even knowing what comes next, which I'm more okay with than most people. I still really like Game of Thrones seasons 1 through 4. I feel like we don't talk about them as much. Like it went downhill or frustrated enough people that like not a lot of people are going back and talking about Game of Thrones. I still really
I
liked
like
seasons 1 through 4.
I liked everything up until honestly, I've liked slash loved everything up until the last 2 or 3 episodes, probably
Just
three.
the literal closers, yeah. I'm
Yeah,
probably
like the
more okay
battle
with them than
at the
most people.
beginning.
I'm totally on
It
board
just
with the majority complaint. It's just that it didn't make me like hate the whole show, I guess.
yeah, everything just felt rushed. Everything felt like the show creators were just like, let's just wrap this up. We let's just finish it.
We we need some gratification. That being said, I the reason I've been doing this is so that I could get into House of the Dragon, which I remember you liking quite a bit, and I remember feeling more politicky even than Game of Thrones,
Yeah,
which is why I didn't like it. But I'm gonna give it another chance. I just wanted to work myself all the way through Game of Thrones. But
that's
you have
fair.
so much good stuff on Vudu that every time I log onto there, I get distracted. Like, oh, I should watch. Oh, wait, no, I still
I
got
forgot that I have. I don't have the last season on Vudu, so you have to switch over to my Matt's
Max,
account and watch the last.
the other
Huh.
Chris. Listen, someday I'll pay for an account and you can borrow it. You got Hulu? That's my one that I can offer.
I
The
do have Hulu, but I
the
need to
Hulu,
switch that over. I need to cancel Hulu and switch over to the Disney Hulu Plus bundle.
ESPN Plus, but
Uh,
it's
yeah,
All of Heather's favorite. Hulu pisses me off. The interface and the way it operates and what it forgets and stuff pisses me off. We've had that talk before. All of Heather's favorite shows are on Hulu, and I don't really know how that happened, but everything that she loves is on Hulu. I like ESPN Plus. I find a lot of stuff to watch, especially during football season. And then obviously Disney, like I don't know, we're not crazy Disney people, but we like Disney, so that's a good deal. It's still like 17, $16 a month for those three. That's a It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat.
yeah.
But
Before we switch over to the next topic,
oh,
I have a
please.
feeling. I have been watching The Acolyte, and I've been very much enjoying The Acolyte. This last episode was freaking great, and it reminds me of the things that I love about Star Wars. Um, like it makes me want to go watch more Star Wars, and that's a very good indicator of a show.
I almost listen. I'm not gonna say don't watch, but it seems to stand alone as unique in the Star Wars universe, which is probably why you like it. Maybe I almost started a
Right.
family fight the other day because one of my coworkers really likes Acolyte. Because like
Yeah.
us, she was excited. It is a her for whatever that's worth. She was excited at the prospect of seeing the Force used in a different way or whatever. And then later, I was talking to her husband. And I was like, "Oh, so Delaney told me I should watch Acolyte because she really likes it." And he was like, "What?" It's like, "Oh man." I mean, no, she hated it, and long live Skywalker. May they never be belittled. The Jedi. Sorry, so sorry.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it. I probably will, just based on the fact that you enjoy it, and I think we're looking for similar things in Star Wars. I'll watch
Yeah,
it.
I am so happy to watch because the things I love about Star Wars has nothing to do with the freaking Star Wars. It has nothing to do with the politics of stuff. It's just like forces of good, forces of evil. But this show brings a little bit of nuance to that. Lightsaber fights. Sometimes it's just fun to see an amazing lightsaber fight. Which is why so much of Star Wars, like the actual spaceship battles, that stuff bores the crap out of me. I'm just like, whatever. Let's just get to the next thing.
It, yeah, I haven't watched it. I'm excited to. I will say that the appeal to me of Star Wars is the world building opportunities that exist, and hopefully this is taking advantage of that.
Yeah.
Chris, let's talk about the North, which is the
I thought
oh,
not to not to. I'm sure someone's like one of our 10 listeners is like, finally they're gonna start the episode, and then I'm like, let's extend it a little. I thought you were gonna bring up the Lakers draft.
oh,
Well, we've talked about that, but
yeah.
never mind. We talked.
So, Chris, the only thing is, I think our opinions will just be boring and nobody will care about them. So Chris being a diehard Lakers fan and me being an indifferent basketball fan, and everybody threw such a fit about drafting LeBron James with here. This is the most important part. The third or fourth to last pick. Third to last pick or
I think
fourth?
it's the 55th pick, which means it's like the
Fifth to last.
well, maybe.
I was thinking it's four. Anyway, there's a really late pick. Chris and I are men of numbers, and historically speaking, the likelihood of drafting a player that sticks on your roster at that number is not good. It's not even a little bit. So if you use that pick to draft a very athletic 19-year-old who might increase your chances of getting LeBron James back on a budget, you just do it. And that's good enough use of that draft capital. and I can't believe how upset people are. It's nepotism. Like, what? Good. It's a business. They're trying to make money here. I
I think and also there's potential there. He's
there's
the son of an NBA player. He's the son of arguably top. No, not arguably. He's a top three NBA player. No,
of
no
all
doubt.
time.
Uh,
Yep.
yeah,
Absolutely.
Mhm.
We don't have to like him
Arguably,
to know
yeah.
that. Not that I'm giving an opinion. Like I'm
And he,
distinctly trying not
yeah,
to give an opinion, but
yeah,
he is absolutely.
and he came out of high school highly coveted. Like I think he was ranked seven. There was a saw a draft thing of him of a mock draft of him being like picked at 17, and then he had some heart. He had that heart issue, which was very scary,
Yep.
and then he had to work his way back. The potential is there just as much as there, if not, in fact, there's more potential there than most late second round picks.
I looked really hard just to formulate my argument, and just when I'm thinking about that pick, and I didn't see anybody out there in the universe that we're not talking about the Miami Heat. Okay, the Lakers aren't going to find too many more Austin Reeveses. That's Chris. Even you have to admit that was a lucky break. It's good.
I'm
You
ready to
need
trade on also,
yeah,
but
uh, but you're not going to find those guys too often. So if you accept that there's no like obvious contributors left at that point, there were like three guys maybe who I think I would have been like, oh, this guy has a higher ceiling maybe for this dollar, this spot than Bronny
yeah.
does. Maybe three guys.
But I'll say this: I think the Lakers. It's not like this hurts their chances,
Not
but it
even
sells
a
more
little.
tickets.
No, not even a
Like
little
it.
bit.
Um, but I really can't wait for LeBron or vice versa to throw the other an alley oop in a game.
It'd
That
be
would be freaking
adorable.
amazing.
I'll probably
Not
just
sure.
it'll warm my little heart.
Yeah, it's funny. My dad, who's not a Lakers fan or anything, but I've always been a Lakers fan. He tested me. He was like, "Why?" Just making fun of the situation, not
Yeah, he
serious. I t-
just like
yeah,
dad pulling your leg a little bit. Yeah.
and I tested back. This could have been me and you, but we're too short.
We were
And
so
then
close, pops.
he sent a message back saying, "Boy, your mom fell out when she read that. She thought that was so that was nice."
I let me think. I was hoping that the KU freshman he was being overrated at the beginning, but he fell like a really long way, and I think he landed with the Pacers, which I feel like is a good enough landing spot as far as player development goes. So that's like the only piece of the draft that I had kind of an emotional investment in. I'm indifferent to the Pacers as most of the United States is. I can't right. How many people are there that like I hate the Pacers? Like I don't know, '90s era Bulls fans maybe.
Pacers. Wow. If I think about who has the least percent of fans outside of their state,
This got to be up there, right?
Pacers might be up there.
Like,
Uh,
because you could so easily be a Chicago fan, right? Or you could easily
Chicago.
be a Cleveland fan, or like, right? So the Thunder, you look at like another small market team, but in geography, there's a really big stretch of folks like us, myself at least. Almost people use like I'm pro Thunder, I
Yeah.
guess, just because they're there. The
No.
Pacers are like in the middle of nowhere, but they still don't have that expanse, and also they just seem harmless most of the time.
That's an
It's
interesting thought. They
it is. It's
probably
kind of fun,
are.
but they're probably not very hated. I just can't imagine there's a lot of basketball fans
Absolutely
like
not.
I hate the
Yeah.
Pacers. Like, why? Why would you hate them? Are you just still holding a Reggie Miller grudge, or like what's going on in your brain?
Only people that would hate the Pacers would be people in New York.
That had to be it. Like '90s NBA New York fans, absolutely. But anyway, it was a very uninteresting draft, and I think that made the Bronny stuff worse because there wasn't a lot to talk about.
That's
Yeah.
true. I couldn't tell you the name of the number one and number two pick.
Alex, researcher. I'm sure he's a good guy. Anyway,
Yeah. All right.
yeah, let's talk about
Back
the North. Yeah, not the Game of Thrones North, the Avatar, the Last Airbender. The
the
North,
North remembers.
the North remembers. Chris, give us a summary of this penultimate. I had to think about episode.
Oh my gosh, I sound so dumb trying to say the word penultimate. Penultimate. Penultimate.
Ultimate
Okay.
with a pin in front of it.
Okay.
I don't know why that's gonna help
Episode
you remember.
7. All right, we start off. Zuko straight up got murked. Zhao killed them. There was really great goodbye between. This might be the last time we saw Captain G. Actually, I don't think he's the captain. Zuko would be the captain. No, he is the captain. Never mind. He's the captain of the ship. Um, really good goodbye between Captain G and Zuko. Great to see those two getting along together so well. Like he's like, "Stay safe, my prince." It's like there's a good freaking connection there. Great chemistry there by those two. And then Zuko gets killed.
Yeah.
Ish. And um I was gonna say and then Zhao's like, whatever, I'll tell Fire Lord the truth that his son was a traitor and whatnot and whatnot. Alright. Team Avatar makes it to the north. Beautiful. Very beautiful shot of
Very attractive
Agnequila.
shot.
hmm First person to say Agnequila is Han, who greets the Team Avatar.
You don't know it's Han
This
right away,
episode
but he's
was
real handsome, and you're like, hey, that guy looks like a really
did I?
nice, pleasant guy.
That's true. When I first saw him, he was like Avatar, even though it doesn't make sense for him to be talking to someone on a Sky Bison 20 stories in the air. But he's like, Avatar, welcome to Agnequila. And it's like, I don't know who that guy is, but he sold the crap out of that.
I was to
Wow.
say that guy deserves my credit, my praise. Turns out it's Han.
Yeah. So they get there, they meet Master Paku, who seems very courteous and stuff up front.
Hmm?
Um, um, he talks to anyway. Then what happens? Oh, Sokka and Yue meet up. They talk a little bit. Sokka's infatuated with her, and yeah, I really don't feel like there's all. This episode might go pretty fast.
That's it's
And
worth
then
noting if we run through this episode a little bit. First of all, it's not on purpose, but second of all, it's because the meat is in the next episode. Also, it's literally longer, right?
I think
The
so.
next
Yeah, this
episode.
episode's
Yeah.
like yeah, I just watched. It was like 57 minutes. It was a legit 50 minutes, and most episodes have been like 40, not including credits.
So maybe a little imbalance here. Balance pun intended.
Yeah. Then Han and Sokka meet, and at first I'm like, oh, this is Han being a jerk. Hana's like, I would love to go talk with Sokka about some things. I'm like, oh yeah, this one he's gonna be a jerk to Sokka. He's gonna bully him and make whatever, establish dominance. And like the scene keeps going, and it doesn't happen.
When we were watching the first time in your basement, we were so taken aback by Han's good-natured pleasantness.
Yeah,
That's the
so
Shyamalan twist.
yeah. Uh, um, Han is he asks Sokka about everything, and afterwards, Han is like, "This is good. We have to go tell the leaders." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then, um, Sokka talks to Han about UA. Even then, Han is like, "We were betrothed, but she canceled it. That's her prerogative." Like, not only is he an outstanding guy, he is respectful of women and their
Just
boundaries
in
and
a
the
place
decisions they
where
take.
being raised in a place where it would not justifiably, but you can see how nurture would make him not respect women. But he's just like, you know what?
Yeah.
I understand. You're like, damn.
Which is funny because it's interesting that. they went this route, which I think was kind of smart. Like in the animated show, Han is clearly way worse than Sokka. Sokka is the clear person to pick, like for UA to pick, and so it makes it more impactful that UA, like Han is perfect on paper, but UA chooses Sokka for whatever Sokka-ness that is. Like people could be perfect on paper, but it's just there's a connection there, and that makes Sokka look better by comparison.
There's non-quantifiable emotions and things like that that can't be put on paper. So why not look at this guy that you just met 20 minutes ago and think that's a good guy right there?
Mhm. They they have the dinner and feast and everything. The leaders know the fighting is coming. They're prepped for it and everything. Um, Katara talks to Master Paku, and Master Paku is like being really nice to her. He's like, I'm sure it was tough being cut off from home and everything. But we're glad you survived. Like he's coming off pretty nice here. Like Master Paku in the show was just always mean. Like trains
Agreed.
this time. Sounds about
Agreed.
like done. Like anyway. Which makes it when Master Paku later is like just so freaking sexist. Makes it it's interesting because it makes it kind of worse. Maybe this is a metaphor for like even the shadiest people can look or present themselves otherwise.
Or like I get the whole story, moral, not judging a person based on this first conversation, this first impression. You get this whole picture of Paku, and he's like, "Oh, wait a minute."
Mhm.
There's
Yeah.
there's deeper
Uh,
learning to take from that.
Katara then learns healing, and she's like, "Oh, this is great." And then she's like, "Hey, when do we learn how to fight?" And her name is Yokota. Is it Yokota? I believe it's Yokota. But this actress also voices Pocahontas in Pocahontas
That
because
oh
I
the
think her name is Irene
the Disney
Coe.
animated movie?
Yeah.
No way.
Yep.
Awesome. She would have been much younger. Much younger. When
Uh,
did Pocahontas come out? Like 1995?
it came out before Mulan. Mulan came out in '98, I think.
Okay.
So that would make sense if Pocahontas would come out in '95,
Somewhere in
'96.
that mid 90s. Oh, good for her.
Yeah. Um. So she's she's also really cool with just learn. She's not like, oh, well, I understand your sentiment. She's like, that's just our ways. Katara's like, what's stupid? It's stupid. F your ways. It's stupid.
Always cool when a
Um,
guest comes in your house and you're like, nope, this is wrong.
yeah. It's like when my family comes to visit, they're like, why is your house so cold? Although when I visited Tulsa recently, I was at my parents' or sister's house, and it was just hot. I'm just like, this is like I was visibly hot. And then my sister last night she came to my house. She was like, "You keep it too cold in here," and she was hot. I was like, "Yeah, now what? I don't want to hear you complaining again about my house being too cold."
You will hold your tongue when you enter my premises.
Yeah. um, but she's like, this isn't right. Aang, on his side of the plot, Aang goes to talk to Kuruk, which I like the conversation between Aang and Kuruk to a certain extent. The part that I really liked is that when Aang was like, Avatar Kyoshi took over me, and like she uses great powers, and maybe you could too. And Kuruk was just like, I'm not Kyoshi.
No, it
Which
was so. He just like. Aang, how would Aang know any better? And he just like yells at him. Why wouldn't he just like, hey man, I can't. I get why you're asking. Your logic is sound from your perspective.
I
Like,
I I
instead,
took it
he's a
as
jackass about it.
yeah, I took it as not that he's mad at Aang, but he's mad at himself that he's not Kyoshi. Like he's almost embarrassed of his life.
I don't know. It's a weird way. That's not how you have a conversation with people. I don't like the lore. I hate the look of this part of the
Now,
spirit world, and I hate the conversation. I hate it.
the conversation does get very exposition-y, because like Korra talks what feels like a straight 4 minutes, and
Mhm.
that might not seem like a long
Bit
time, but it's kind of a long
monologue.
time for one person to be talking and telling multiple stories.
Yep.
Because first he's like, after he tells Aang, "I'm not Kyoshi," he's like, "When I was the Avatar, like I was protecting the world from dark spirits who was coming through, and it damaged my body, and like I spent my whole life doing it." And like he could have stopped there, but then he was like, "But then that wasn't enough. My love, uh, not Ming what? My love. Oh my gosh,
It's
forgot her
funny
name.
though. I don't
Whatever.
remember her name either. Shows you how important she was.
Yeah, my love was taken by Cole the Face Stealer," and like he just kept kind of talking. And if I was sitting there, because I'm a polite person, I just let people talk. I just be like, mm-hmm. Oh, that's crazy.
That's one
Like
of those.
just
Have you ever done this where I do it sometimes too? If you talk to somebody and you're standing up and then they pause and you think they're done, so you start walking away and then they start again, you're like, I
oh,
start
it's
moving.
so weird.
Do I stop? Do I just turn my body halfway? What do I do?
I Yeah, I just had to commit to turning back and then engaging again in the conversation. But
Yep.
I'm terrible at ending conversations
I
with
just want
people.
anybody to know if I've ever done this to you where I started walking away. It's not because I want the conversation. It's because I don't know. I don't understand when conversations are over sometimes, and I'm sorry. It's me, not you.
Yeah.
Chris,
Um.
I hate the look of this spirit. Anytime he talks to avatars and the one on ones, I hate it. And so I'm staring at this for like 4 minutes, listening to lore that I don't like. It. Oh,
I didn't mind. I didn't mind the lore because the lore is accurate. It just wasn't delivered. This part of the lore was accurate. It just wasn't delivered, and it was just kind of.
I don't like that the spirit wounds. I,
Oh, I
that
mean that's
makes it.
how his body. I mean I. It's been a while since I've read the Kyoshi novels, but I know that it killed him. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not sure if I remember wounds. I remember it more so being like actually his body might have been wounded also, but also it might have been like his spirit was wounded as well.
That I don't
I'm not
like
sure.
that.
I'm
That
not sure.
makes that.
I'm not sure if I can remember. I'm not sure if I can remember if his body was wounded or not.
I hope
Anyway,
I'm wording this correctly. I'm going to try to articulate myself well, but it makes it feel like his soul is like bound to these spirit world things when in reality the spirit world is still kind of a physical manifestation world
oh,
that
that you know what? Okay, that now that I'm thinking about it, I don't think that was in the novels about his spirit being wounded because they again this show goes out of his way to make things make sense. And in this
Mhm.
episode, that happens also.
Yep,
Because
yep.
okay, I get why they would have done that. Because yeah, that's not in the book. That's not in the book about
Well,
him,
in the
his
book it does
spirit.
talk about like he suffered from these wounds that weren't necessarily visible, right? Like his friends and people around him couldn't see how much damage had been done,
Yeah,
right? But
it might have been.
I don't
Yeah,
like the interpretation of that like lingering into an
of,
afterlife,
of,
and
of the effect of it.
I just and it's not
Yeah,
that they're not allowed to do it. I just it doesn't resonate that well.
yeah. It's fair both ways.
Yeah,
I I could see like it's a plot convenience because
yeah,
it's like oh, we just had Avatar Korra take over.
and then wreck shop.
Um,
Yeah, no, we got to
yeah.
make the fish do it. Yeah.
But again, I also understand why they made that a thing that Avatar that Aang can only channel avatars in certain locations. It's
Yeah.
I understand. Just again, it's just they try to explain things to make it make sense to cover a plot because there are plot holes in Avatar, but just they're just it's I guess it's done so well that you kind of just go with it. You're just like, oh yeah, okay, I got it, I get it. Like I don't have to
They
question
leave the
it
right
too much.
things arbitrary, and they
Yeah,
explain the things that you need explain. I don't know. They
Yeah,
just did,
there's,
but
there's
uh,
good. You got to leave a little wiggle space for the person to for the
yeah,
audience.
absolutely. But
Yeah,
anyway, not the best scene of the episode by any stretch.
it's but then what does he tell him? Oh, his advice is like, you gotta do this alone, Aang. Like, friends can't
Yeah, it was
help you.
weird.
Which at first, because he was like, there is no team Avatar. At first, I hated that line because I'm like, Quirk, you had the best
Yeah,
team. Well, I won't say the best team Avatar because one of your team avatars was a murderous supervillain. But
yeah.
while he was with you, he was very effective.
He was good at his job in a mercenary kind of way.
Yeah. And the other two were also great. But I get what he's because even Avatar Quirk in the novel didn't let them in on his real troubles in life, and so I could see how Quirk would be like, "There is no team out like team." Well, the statement of "there is no team Avatar" is weird because he had a team Avatar, and most avatars have a team Avatar. But the sentiment of the Avatar has to walk alone. I get that I get why Quark would feel that way because Quark was that way. No one but Niatu, I think is his name, Fire Sage, wannabe Fire Sage. He was the only person that knew of Avatar Quark's battles with the spirits.
Well, the only person that he like loved, got stolen by the face stealer, right? So in his mind, it's like you're protecting yourself by being a
Yeah,
lone
yeah,
wolf
yeah.
a little bit. So no, I
Mhm.
still thought it was kind of douchey, but I understand the logic of his point.
Yeah. I have a note here that says we don't talk enough about the Avatar Sea in the future because that's also a weird. Because Aang is like, I gotta save the North. Kyoshi gave me a vision of the North being destroyed, and no one really talks about how weird that is. Like that's the new Avatar power of foresight.
I
Like,
don't think I've ever thought of it, but yeah, that's a little nebulously extra helpful.
like sure, Avatar Roku told Aang the comet is coming, and Sozin's gonna not so Sozin's comet is coming, and Ozar's gonna use it. That's just that's just knowing the calendar year. Like,
Yeah, that's just
Aang,
strategic
Aang,
planning.
yeah.
It's a
But this is like
founded
Kyoshi's like, I'm gonna
prediction.
give you a vision. Yeah, this is like Kyoshi's like, here's a vision. This is what's gonna happen to the North.
Also, what's
But
Kyoshi doing in
again,
the afterlife that she's having? Like, she just sitting around, like, I don't know, she got channels that she's flipping through, and then all of a sudden she's like, oh, that's bad. I better tell somebody.
but it's a new weird power that I didn't think about until the fourth rewatch of it, which
Never
just
crossed my
provides
mind
even
until just
more.
now.
Uh,
Can't
it's a
say. Oh, it's unnecessary too. Like, it didn't have to have a
well,
vision to be like, hey, the Fire Nation's coming. Like, I don't.
they could have the reason why again the show goes out of its way to make things make sense. In the animated show, in the original OG show, they go to the North because Aang needs a waterbending teacher. But Aang trains with Master Paku like one day. But then everybody freaking dies and North almost gets killed. So then you're like, so all those, and he ends up not really learning from Master Paku. So if someone wants to really critique the show, they would be like, oh, they went to the North really for no reason.
He
Like what
hasn't
was the
done
real
much of
purpose of Aang
anything
going to
yet in terms of learning.
the North? And so in the live action show, they got to be like, well, we need to give him a reason to go to the North that can't be neglected by anything. Like, sure, he has multiple reasons to go to the North, but he gets a vision of the North being destroyed. Also, he needs a water being teacher. And so, like, if he didn't have that vision and it was just simply, I need a water being teacher, this show takes the finale and death and stuff so serious that I think they were afraid that viewers would be like, Han died for nothing. Like, why did Han?
This
Viewers won't be
beautiful soul, this innocent person.
like, yeah, Aang didn't even learn from Paku. Why are they at the North? And so I think they gave him that reasoning
It
and
still
that
could have just
vision because
could have been
they
some
could have
kind
came
of
up with something else.
intel.
It could have it could have been something else. It
Yeah,
could have been. just it could have been anything else. Whatever.
Scouts spotted Fire Nation ships on the horizon. We got I don't know.
Yeah, because now it's like, well, shouldn't every avatar be able to see the future?
Why
Like
is
fortune telling?
Kyoshi? We love Kyoshi on this show. Big fans. Why is she the most helpful avatar by such a wide margin?
Yeah. Anyway, UA. So while Aang is in the spirit world talking to Korra, UA is there watching him because she's the one that showed him the way. Sokka's there. She tells Sokka her origin story. Which is fine. Guitar. Okay, and not that much. Oh, UA reveals that she's the Fawn Spirit, and that's that one. I don't know what their thinking was behind that one.
I got
I have
nothing.
no like it. They made it overly
It's not that it's
complicated.
particularly bad. It's just that it's not useful or entertaining, like in any additive way.
Also, I. How should I quantify this? Let me go to my.
The quantification chart.
I think this would be. I would take issue
Ooh,
with this
yeah, that's
change
good. That's
of
above qualm, people. That's pretty serious.
of UA being part spirit,
Part
part
spirit.
human, because she's like she even says, "Oh, I'm kind of part spirit, part human, and so I'm kind of a bridge between the worlds." Like that
What?
is the avatars. That's one of the things that makes the avatar the avatar. He is the bridge, or she is the bridge between the two worlds. That's like half of their position and their purpose.
Also,
If anyone could just be, yeah,
you could just go to the spirit world like other people in the universe eventually do. Like, oh, you were touched by a spirit, now you just have a little
yeah,
better spiritual connection.
that,
Fine,
it's
perfect.
supposed. Why make her part spirit?
Nah,
I don't.
we gotta put some hard logic around this.
Yeah, that was a dumb change. Very
Yep,
dumb change.
unnecessary
Um,
garbage.
I might take exception with it.
That's it's if it's not
Mm,
exception, it's at least issue. I think that's fair.
it's yeah, it's an issue. Uh,
Also, the spirit world's a big place. You're really gonna run into that one person that you need to run into that one time that you're there. I don't know.
true. The spirit world is like infinite.
It is. At least that's my interpretation of it. Is that it's almost like it's its own universe. Like it's not a
Yeah,
planet. It's like a whole universe over there in the
yeah,
spirit
it
world.
is. Yeah.
Whatever.
Um, Katara
I'd
confronts
say I
Pac.
get over it, but we watched this together 4 months ago, and I still haven't recovered. So I don't think I'm gonna get over it anytime soon.
Man, time is flying by.
I know that's wild.
Uh, Katara confronts Paku, and he's like super sexist. Like he's like sexist in a way of like,
It's about as get in the
I,
kitchen as you could be without just literally saying "get back in the kitchen."
well, in prejudice also. I haven't. The only thing I could put close because he says he's he's like essentially blaming women for the fall of the Northern Water. He was like, I won't have what happened in the Southern Water Tribe happen in the North. Like what? Um, you blame women for that?
So that's funny. I didn't take it as him blaming women. I took it as maybe a lot of women died, because of this less orthodox methods. So I didn't interpret it that way, but I never thought of it that way. That's a fair interpretation.
It's just a weird thing for him to say. I won't let him hear happen because like I guess he's blaming women for it. It's such a weird. I don't know. It's like blaming I don't know immigrants for I don't know. I can't even
This
like it's their fucking
I will say that Paku's actor does a pretty good job of making you dislike him, not because like he's doing a good job as an actor. I also like his aesthetic is exactly what my brain would want Master Paku to look like.
yeah. No, that's a freaking one for one
Yeah,
translation
they
almost.
nailed that.
So then we have the Katara versus Paku fight, which is a great fight. I have one. Don't want to call it's a great fight, but I do have one. I want to say it's a qualm, maybe more than
I
one.
take issue with the one. There's a thing, and I wonder if it's the same thing.
Okay, well, my one thing is that there's a there's a part of the fight where Qatar Paku has the upper hand and he like hits her, and in the animated show he like pulls up this huge freaking ice thing around her, and he goes like, shh, and like he turns into icicles, and it comes down at her. And as the audience, you're supposed to be like, "Oh, holy crap! Did he kill her?" Like all the freaking pony icicles, but it traps her. In this show, he like the icicles comes up and it encases her. Um, but like I think it's so much better to one show just how freaking deadly and merciless Paku is. Like he would use his deadly technique, but he's so freaking skilled that he won't even harm her in it. So that's my one qualm. I wonder what yours is.
You know what, Chris? I hadn't. It's not the same. I hadn't thought of that, and I agree with you that that is at least a qualm. Is that it's less impressive and less menacing. Mine was that there's one point, and it looks kind of weak. First of all, like the move looks kind of weak. It's like a light snow blow that undoes
Uh
it
yeah,
undoes
yeah,
her
yeah.
braids, and it's just like
I
a gust of snowy wind. I'm like, for oh god, it didn't even look good at all, and then it also undid her braids, and that like kind of double piss. That's at least issue with me. It was a like a mar on an otherwise very good fight. I really liked. We're focusing on the bad in this moment, but now we can talk about the good stuff because it's a
I had a
very good
qualm.
looking fight.
I did have my. I would just probably take it to either. I would say it's a qualm also with the hair thing because I think in the animated fight it was almost a slow unraveling of her hair. Like as the fight progresses, she's just
Hmm?
getting more unraveled
Yeah,
until it's all out. One thing, it would braids are so freaking strong
especially if
that
you've been doing it for
it
a
can't.
while, you're pretty good at it. For example,
Yeah,
yeah, those braids aren't coming.
it yeah,
It
but that's
makes
it.
more sense that they would unravel over time throughout the fight.
Yeah,
Nope, this is
yeah.
just all at once, just like, psh, oh no, a breeze.
I also have a nitpick that technique of how they like. It looks like they are. Which I guess it's a nitpick. Um, freezing the air. It looks more like Frozone rather than turning water into ice.
Okay, I hadn't thought of
Then
that,
that's
but I generally agree, but I hadn't considered it.
yeah. It's
Frozone,
probably
where's my super suit?
nitpick.
Such a great moment of
But
that movie.
that is like, oh my gosh, every black man is like, oh my gosh, this is too relatable. I'm your wife. I am the greatest good you are ever going to get, woman. Where is my
It's such a well, and like it's in a kids movie, but that's one of those most like it's not even comedy as much as it just wow they really trying to preach to the adult crowd here for a minute. Yeah,
I
other
saw Inside Out. I saw Inside Out too recently. Took my kids to go see it. Really liked it. I liked it more than the first. I didn't love the first one really. Oh, something about the first one that I just didn't
I
love.
I
It was
didn't
fine.
love it either. Heather said Inside Out. Oh, I'm sorry, she didn't see two yet. I didn't love the first one. She didn't love it at first, but then she rewatched it and says it's good. And now she wants to see the second one pretty bad.
I liked the second one. I think I related to it a lot more. I think because that is a lot more adult emotions because Riley is growing up and stuff. Uh, but there's a scene I'm like, no, my daughter wouldn't pick it up because Riley goes off to camp, right? And the dad is like, the wife is like, oh, we'll have the home to ourselves. Wonder what we could do. And the dad is like, I wonder what we could do. And then, like, of course, he's thinking
Yeah,
not with those five emotions. There's a sixth one there
this is
of
one very specific one.
there's a pervert emotion over there in the corner, like, what do we do?
Just looking out from the tree.
Because his eyes does the whole like look at her thing, and I'm like, yeah, I get that. Anyway,
But
the kids with me.
still above Mackenzie's head. That's good.
Yeah, that's good. Um. Anyway,
I
sorry
have
losing the fight. Oh, where are you gonna?
Yeah, no, I just if there's other I liked most of the other audiovisual things about the fight. Looked good, sounded pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah, they did a good job of I think of translating. There's a moment where Katara throws the disc thing, and Paku's reflection is in it. That was great.
I liked that. So if there's one thing, so you mentioned like he does the spikes move in the animated. That's kind of it. This fight here could have had a little better build up. Like there's it's you almost get the sense that like he's not getting going like full force, but maybe he could have built up to it and then had a very intense spike moment
Mm,
that
yeah,
it maybe kind of was missing. But that just alludes to your point earlier.
yeah. He did straight up deliver the line before the fight, of like, "You want to learn? Study closely." Like, actually, no, he didn't deliver that well. Now I think about it, I just projected that in my mind. He said it in the animated show. Master Paku goes, "You want to learn? Study closely," and that's more like a. And then here he's like, "You want to learn? Study closely." Just a little. Anyway, fine.
It was
Not
yeah,
even. Mhm.
didn't hit the same mark, but it was good enough.
Yeah, that was good enough. Yeah,
And I
but
like
great fight.
and I like how everybody responds to guitar after the fight. Like that's one of those. Uh, it's like taking a good shot but missing, but like it's a good shot that you know you can make and you take it right. So everybody's like, no, you took a good shot. Like you did the right things. You put up a great fight. You didn't win, but you you
But you won.
you won. Yeah, you did all the right
She
things. You
proved.
just didn't literal win.
Yeah, she proved her point.
Yes.
Also afterwards, because all the other Wild Tribe boys come up, and they're like, "Whoa, can't believe you did that! Like, how did you do this and that?" Like, she inspired people, and that was the point of. And I like that Master Paku wasn't won over. I like that it wasn't. He didn't. While it's like sentimental and kind of a cool story about long lost love, because he sees the necklace that he made, the betrothal necklace he made for Grand. That's cool. I like that interpretation, but I also like this interpretation of Paku is just a bitter old man who's
Mm-hmm.
just like, yeah, you know what, you fought really, really well, but I'm still not gonna let you fight. I I respect and I acknowledge you as a good fighter, and I'm so stuck in my ways. I'm still not gonna let you fight.
Yeah, it
But
wasn't
like,
like being the good fighter wasn't the issue that he was trying to work through with you, right? Um,
yeah,
I don't necessarily miss the grand bitter. You know, it's nice enough, but non impactful.
yeah, I could take either. Actually, I might prefer this one more, especially because leading into the next episode, that story element drags into the next episode. Um,
I think I don't have a huge preference other than it, you know, just gives him a stronger tie to the south, I guess. But that's all I got.
yeah. Um, I didn't mention before. I really enjoyed the Sokka Katara moment before the fight. Like he gives her a little pep talk,
The
and
whoop his ass
it's like,
chat.
yeah, I didn't like the whoop ass, but I sound like a prude every time I bring up how I don't like the cursing. I I'm gonna go watch Deadpool in a couple weeks and be perfectly
Yeah,
great with all the cursing. I listen to plenty of rap music, love all the cursing in it.
Chris, they don't curse in rap music.
You're right, they don't. Not me. When I'm rapping, I even down to this
You
day,
self censor.
I I self censor, which is why I know plenty of people. You can easily not say the N word. Like those words just aren't in my vocabulary. Like they just seldomly are. But
I
anyway,
you know, it reminded me of my interactions with my little brother, and I'm like, yeah, well, that felt good enough to me. Like he might look at me and be like, yeah, go kick his ass, and I'm like, okay, that relates.
yeah, yeah. I didn't. Yeah, it's fine.
It hit fine.
Um, But I like the element of Sokka being like, remember when we left North Pole? Like, I didn't think that two kids from the water tribe could save the world. It was like you made me believe that, Katara. Like people, a lot of people don't have a lot of people have issues with this version of Katara. I love this version of Katara. I think she's freaking great. And this is one of those things. All right, so that's kind of their fight.
I've got
Um,
I've
there's a, or are you about to bring something else?
Yeah, I've got a couple just kind of odds and ends points that fit into the episode, but I sort of missed my opportunity to say them earlier. But just some odds and ends thing is that. So I wanted to mention I do like that the avatars have different, like very disparate ideologies. I think that's great. Like we're getting the human side of the avatars even coming through in their spirit life. Uh, I like that you get really good Zuko, Iroh, Zhao, Azula just kind of dynamic in this episode, even though it's pretty heavily the B plot side. But
Mm.
I like the family dynamic that they've created, and I like it a little more all the time. And then the last thing that I put here is that it's it's sort of a combination of smaller things. Like I don't want any one part of this comment to carry more weight than the others. But like neither Sokka nor Yue are tremendous actors, and neither of them is my favorite interpretation of the character. And then sometimes like their dialogue and stuff when they're in the same room is like those scenes are they drag to me. I don't like the scenes with the two of them. It probably didn't help that like Han is a gym, but those kind of drag things down to me. And I think yeah, I don't think they're amazing actors, and I don't think that they're
Okay.
my favorite interpretations of the characters.
I'm going to disagree with you, Sean, probably because I have more experience or more,
My
no,
experience is
no,
that's an accurate statement.
but the actress who plays Yue, um, she was in the show Legion.
Yeah.
Loved her in that. Um, and then she was in Prey, which is a Predator movie.
Mm-hmm.
She was freaking great. She's actually, I think she's a terrific actress who, and who wasn't given as much to chew on
Okay.
in this.
So
I think it could have been a chemistry thing. I don't think her and like the actor for Sokka, I think has way better chemistry with the actress. Wow, I forgot her name, Maria Zhang, who plays Suki.
Suki, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
There's
which I don't,
better back and forth vibe.
yeah, maybe
Something,
there just isn't good chemistry between them two here.
or and you chalk it up to like directorial maybe as well. But
Yeah,
I feel like the scenes with those two just kind of drug to me. If it sort of felt like I was watching a high school stage play when they were on screen together. A college, I'll give you a college stage play. That's fine.
I mean there were some little moments that maybe because I'm familiar with that actress that I liked of her, but I think it's a fair assessment
Okay,
that I don't
I was
fully.
thinking that we were I wasn't trying to goad you into it, but there's a small part of me that was hoping you'd be like, you saying you like the Shyamalan way better. But no, that's not what I was trying to get at.
I would say this: some people were some Avatar fans who aren't the nicest people was like, "Oh, she's ugly." I'm like, "You're freaking crazy." Um,
That's a mean spirited person
yeah.
who needs to watch the show more closely.
But both versions of UA, I think, look like UA.
They do,
I think
yeah.
look pretty
Oh,
great.
visually, I actually do like the Shyamalan one better, just like visually speaking, but
Uh
not because of the actress specifically, but because of her whole
yeah,
vibe and
I agree.
costume and everything.
Yeah, I agree with that. Except for there's a behind the shot look where she has penis head and it's weird.
Oh
Like,
yeah, I forgot about that. That's a funny little
besides,
still shot. Yeah.
what's really weird, which is in Man of Steel, Zack Snyder makes these pods for the Kryptonians to get into that they go to the Phantom Zone, and they are just completely just
They're just
shaped
phalluses. They're
that
just
way.
big phalluses.
Like, why?
It's
Why?
like a
Why
it's like
did
a impregnating a different planet metaphor, right?
like it's
Prepare.
so freaking weird. Like, why did you make this like this?
They could be any shape in the world, and you chose that one.
Uh, I had this friend in growing up, and his mom had like in her room, his mom had like statues of Jesus and stuff. And there's this one statue that is just a phallus, and it's like, why is this? Does she know? Like,
Did somebody make this as a joke, or was it an earnest mistake?
no, it is. This is legitimately they made it to look uh, like like Jesus' hair is parted in a way, and
Oh
then it stops there,
no! Oh
and
no! That poor lady.
and then his shoes are very round.
Like like
It's
some Ronald McDonald clown shoes.
exactly, yeah. And like my other friend spotted out to me when we was at his house one time. I was like, wow, why is this here? So
That's
confused.
weird. That makes me think
Anyway,
it's a very early episode of Family Guy where Peter invents the dancing cucumber toy that's hip and he wears a little stocking cap and big shoes. Anyway, sorry, go
uh,
ahead. Go ahead.
last thing at the end of the episode, Azula's test and stuff. I like that moment with her and Fire Lord Ozai where she uses lightning bending and stuff, proves herself. I like that moment.
I'm really getting into the bad guy family dynamic here. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Chris,
All right.
let's talk about some ratings. Would you like me to go first with my audio visual?
Sure.
I gave it a 7.5. It's not the most interesting episode in the world, but I do really like most of the fight scene in the northern city that I'm not going to try to pronounce the name of. Looks really great in a wide shot, and it mostly lingers here. We don't see much of the B plot, not just a whole lot or anything. So it's not the most like visually interesting, but it's good. What it's good or
Yeah.
fine to good.
I agree with absolutely everything you said except for the score. I might go smidge higher
Okay,
at it. Actually, I'm not even sure I'm gonna go smidge higher. Hmm. Yeah, let's call it an 8. Yeah.
okay, great. Story. A little harsh on the story, Chris. I'm not fond of too many elements. I gave 5.5. I don't like the
Wow.
I don't like the spirit bit. I don't
5.5.
like the Kuruk bit. I don't like Sokka and Yue's interactions. I don't like the. I feel like there's one other big things that I don't, anyway. There's just too many of those pieces that I don't like. That it kind of covers up the stuff that I do like the different Avatar ideologies or like the fun change of Han or not. We don't see a lot of the bad guy family dynamic. That's definitely the B plot, but I do really like that. So we just don't see enough of that. So yeah, I didn't take a lot away from this narratively at all, honestly.
Hmm. That's interesting. We're gonna differ here.
That's fine.
I'm not like high up on it. I'll probably give it a 7.5. The guitar stuff I think is so strong, and I
Okay.
love it a lot. That's another element that I can think of, but yeah, guitar stuff was super strong.
You mentioned things like G's relationship with Zuko, right? And those are pretty potent moments in there when they occur.
Yeah.
That's kind of par for the course. We've been treating or weighting those big impact moments a little differently, like weighting how much they weigh. That's fine. Memorable. I probably went too high because there's just not a whole lot to remember about this. I did a 7 because there's enough bits and pieces that I like that I wanted to give some kind of credit to. So 7.
Mhm.
Han fight fun bits.
Yeah, the thing about this episode is that before watching it, I just thought to myself, oh yeah, there's this episode. Like it almost just feels like just a connected episode. Even though the stuff with guitar and the Five Master Pocket was really good. For memorability, I probably still give this a 7. And maybe it hurts because it's sandwiched in between Mask and the finale.
Yeah, we won't. Let's not try to rank those, but we know that those are going to be 2 higher end episodes. That
Yeah.
makes it tough. Chris, that gives you a 7.6, which actually makes it your second least favorite episode so far. Listen, if you need to reference some previous work to see how it stacks up. Your next closest with 7.9 was at Omashu. I came out with, I was a little harsh. I was 6.6. It is my third least favorite episode. I liked Into the Dark a little less than this. So, relatively similar in the big picture. And 7.1 overall. Adaptation. I'm going to begrudgingly say this is like average Adaptation. They made some changes. They tried to tell things their own way and do things their own way, and some of it hit really well, and some of it, like Paku and Bad Guy Family, and some of it didn't hit really well at all. So it was very divisive in my mind, but they tried. So I'm gonna give it average, kind of barely or begrudgingly, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's average for the adaptation. The thing that I love most is the changes to Katara and Paku, some of that differences in that fight. Some of the stuff with Quirk and even Yue. Don't like as much. So yeah, just it's averagely adaptable.
But they did try a lot of different things, and that's respectable.
True.
Yeah.
That's very respectable. It takes a lot to change that plot point about Paku.
Yeah. That's the danger. I mean, that's the danger of remaking a very popular show. Right? Some things are gonna make people happy when. Well, I mean, every change with a really popular show, every change that you do make, is a huge risk. But you do need to make some changes to make it have a point.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's the North. We said we were going to be short. We didn't say we were going to be short, but still, we made it the full hour. But next episode, get your sleep, go to the restroom, get yourself your snack, whatever you need. Because I think the next one, it's the finale, and it's a longer episode, and I think we'll have more to say about it. But we won't talk about the Lakers draft at all next episode. We won't talk about it. We'll talk about how they somehow managed to sign Tyus Jones in a sign and trade, and D'Angelo Russell ends up at Golden State for Chris Paul, who ends up at Dallas, or I don't know. That's something like that. Some crazy. We'll talk about that. Just kidding. We won't talk about that. All right. Thank you for watching or listening. My name is Shawn Shaler. That's my friend Chris Ford, aka the Objective Geek of YouTube and Twitter fame, and this has been I almost said this has been the Xth episode of Avatar Last Podcasters. I don't know what episode we're on. It's a big number. Where we talked about episode 7 of the Netflix live-action Avatar series. It's called The North. Next week we'll be back with the finale. Please leave us positive thumbs ups, reviews, likes, ring the little bell things. Whatever interaction you can spare us, we appreciate it. It would be very helpful to us. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Chris, you gonna drop some no vulgarity rap for us while we're listening to the closing?
Non-vulgarity rap.
Some self-censored.